as quickly as they can rotate. But it looks like Putra's going to give up on that idea. He kind of took a look, said, nah, maybe not. As he goes back to Swizzy now. And they're grouped up.
Yeah, that was looking a little cautious there for a moment. But for Putrick and Swizzy, not too many worries for them. Still trying to go on a sniping spree, seeing a team trying to build and move their way forward. Forecast tower is going to be secured. Swizzy making that call for himself, letting Putrick get confident. That's Robound and Axe Force in the distance that Swizzy and Putrick are potentially trying to gatekeep on out before they move their way forward. They have multiple ways to rotate here, whether the grapple blade or the launch pad right above them. The choice is definitely theirs.
You can see, too, there's not even that many. I didn't see a single duo based up on the edge of the zone as well. So Swizzy Putrick shouldn't have too many issues as they rotate on in. For Cammy and Seti, they have pulled this initial zone quite close to their drop spot, so they haven't had to rotate too far at all. But they have had to continue looking for those shots. There's only one duo currently in their line of sight, and he's unable to hit that initial sniper shot.
Very quiet performance so far as well from Cammy and Seti. Something that you don't typically see, but when you do see them start off slow in an event, it is the early portion, so don't be too surprised if you see them have a global championship style performance in the finals where they were able to catch up on the tail end. Yanis and Flixie rotating. They haven't had to rotate too far though from Reckless Railways. They're just trying to leave the POI, get some surge, backtrack in their steps. They know where all the loot is at over here towards Reckless Railways, so it won't be hard for Flixie to find the HP he needs.
See on the mini-map, there are a few duos, but they're all kind of in the surrounding areas of Reckless. Nothing too close. For Eclipse and Dexy, though, what's gone wrong here? Puhawa is going to be the player up against them. No duo partner, so it's a 1v1.
A team that plays so well. Multiple second places throughout the qualification process. Even got a first place just to get this far. Doesn't want to give up on that play. Eclipse is still going to be knocked. Dexy's the one that has to play defensive. Perhawa goes in, doesn't land the shots he needs. Everything gets turned upside down. Eclipse, the revive was actually able to go off. Now it's a 2v1. Perhawa has to make the decision. Do I continue to hold my spot or disengage? And that decision is going to be made rather quickly with him running out of materials, running out of time. Dexy, Eclipse, they're going to continue to be on the chase. And it's a short-lived chase as they find the elimination and send that full team back to the lobby.
Perfect timing to pick up his duo partner there. Puhawa unable to stop it, leading to his demise. Volko Vortex is now right beside Ping and Mixon's box, just kind of eyeballing them down. You can tell they're hungry. They want something here. They want a little snack. Issue is, third zone is quite a ways away. They will have to make a rotate here, but at the same time, if they can get a bit of damage, I don't know. The question is, who's going to rotate first? Who's going to be the duo? Kind of initiate this, as there's also a lot of players in the surrounding areas that are going to be doing the same.
Yeah, I can imagine yelling at each other through the cones. You rotate first, because you know as well as I do what you're kind of alluding to. If you rotate first, you're susceptible to kind of getting tagged up. You're susceptible to kind of getting focused there in the lobby. But then you do have priority if you're able to make it through unscathed, kind of continue to rotate ahead of everybody else. Malibuca and Mustache, they made that rotation very, very quickly in this game to try to get them a spot, which isn't too far off from their POI. Just south of them is going to be fencing fields, but they're separated. Mustache has a tower on top of a small hill. They're just trying to increase the chances of them being able to get surge so they don't have to worry about it later in the game during rotations.
You know, normally I'm not too against duos being separated when they have kind of like two separate towers, two elevated locations that they've kind of built bases on, but Malibuca being so low, it's not like he even has that much vision on the opponents, and they are far enough that it could get risky. But we'll switch over to Aqua Noah, who are going straight for the box fighting to get that damage. They are by Hazy Hillside, opposite side of the map from what we've been looking at, but it looks like iDrop Nebs aren't interested as they continue to rotate.
Yeah. And I know we were making all these jokes. You know, what year is it with the people qualifying? Aqua, Mongrel, a lot of our OGs make it to this far, but it just kind of shows that they still got it. especially knowing Aqua starting this game off in 7th place so far throughout 2 games, been pretty consistent. And this one could be the one to kind of push them over the top ahead of that point curve, because usually after game 3, that's when you see the curve start to form where you're out in the leaderboard. You're either on top with very little worries or you're in the middle. That's where you really got to pick up your game.
Let's take a look here at what Cammy was able to do. Looks like they caught Sined off guard here. Just one quick frenzy shot's all it's going to take. Be careful, though. Huge shot landed onto Cammy. Dropped him down to 50 HP. Forced to recuperate his HP and shield back up. The good news is 3 medkits, 3 big pots has basically everything you would need to continue going. But you can see now they are rotating in on a side of the zone that has a lot of duos already based up and finishing their rotates even. If you look at the bottom right at the mini-map. So even if they take a minute to pause here in this bush and kind of take a look at where those duos are, they could plan an efficient route.
Yeah, with the zone pulling towards the north, pulling towards the east, I do believe there will be a gap if they continue to either move towards the eastern part of the zone, because a lot of those teams will already have rotated in. Mustache gets a knock on the Buell. Cammy and Seti just kind of eyeing up their rotation, waiting for a lot of these teams in, so that way they can spot them out and figure out where the next spot is going to be for them. Noah makes this one look easy. Darkies goes in and out of that box almost simultaneously with a well-placed couple shots.
Mustache now, Reaper in hand. But with 413 damage above the threshold, it's not like they're in an urgency to do much more. You can see the floppers on the ground. The big pots, spare one's going to be popped here. What's the rotate they're planning? They have the grapple blades. The big pot coming, getting put to good use here. As it's Raban, and his duo partner close by.
Yeah, a lot of the spots just getting more and more congested with each waving second. Even sounds like a reboot van is going off, and they're trying to chase that one. That's Darky. He's lost his teammate maybe a couple of minutes ago, if that, and now he's just fighting to keep their game alive here in game 3. Raisin is going to get dropped to just a sliver of HP. Is he going to get anything off? No, he's not. But that's no worries. They're close to zone. They have more than enough med kits. This is a little bit of a blessing in disguise. Instead of wasting one of those med kits earlier, going from 10 HP all the way to 100, now he's going to start off at 30.
Look, Resident Video, we're not letting that one slide. They heard the reboot coming through, instantly crash padding as Nebs instantly getting a knock now. 1v1, but not going to be enough as Mikko is going to finish him off. Question is now, he has to pick up his duo partner, but the third party is too dominant. Gets elimed. Nate, duo partner, Scree lane now as well. After taking out Mongrel and Savage, they have 3 elims on the board. They're not done yet.
Now they want to go ahead and make an off-spawn battle like that count. Kind of get as many points as possible, because nothing is guaranteed going up against a team like Mongrel and Savage, especially with multiple third parties that we've already seen throughout 3 games wanting to disrupt that and try to pick up points on any weak opponents. They have so much distance to cover before they find that safety in towards the zone, and since they got to go over the mountain, they can't even crash pad right out of the gate to get there.
The zone's always difficult on thin ice in the hills. It opens up some opportunities to kind of use that natural environment to block some shots as you rotate, but at the same time, when it's full of duos, full of players doing the same, it makes it that much more difficult. And look at this, once again, Jacob, the kind of bush base, I guess I'll call it, that Janice and Flixie have continued to do, where I'd say it uses just as much materials as a regular box, but you have a lot more vision, and the opponents don't even know exactly where you're taking those shots from. You can see now all the rifts from Rift Island coming through, the launch pads, a bunch of birds in the sky. They're basically just aim training right now. Unfortunately, it looks like they need to put a bit more hours into it, as not a shot has been landed yet, but hopefully the snipe unable to connect.
Yeah, I got to be thanking Yanis there for grabbing that smart pistol. The few shots that were able to connect and get them above the damage threshold, or continuously, I should say, came from that smart pistol with the lock-on feature. Reason to deal under pressure yet again from one fight to the next. That's Casper on the other side, and a quick knock going to be found by Reason. Duo has no other choice but to disengage and continue moving forward in zone. And another lifeline has been grabbed by Vidil and Reason, because look at the med kits, look at the shields and the material they were able to get because of that.
You're gonna see now, it is 6 zone. It's gonna be ticking 2 every second here, so they will have to pop some med kits. They have the Flowberry Fizz to grant them that mobility boost, even the grapple blades to continue, but by this zone, you can see there's a lot of duos already built up on the edge, so they will be looking back, especially if they heard shots. So Resident Vidil are gonna have to be careful here, but do they even want more? Still hungry for another elim. They get the crack, but quickly realize, you know what, maybe we should rotate the zone first, and then we can hold them from there.
Great decision for them, because now when the zone does open up, there's going to be a lot of space for them to work with. A couple duos around as well. They got to be careful. Saw Pablo getting cracked over there towards the side. Kiduo and Kiro teamed up as well. Lazen forced to be by himself until Lox reunites. He was the one that got tagged up on the edge of zone not too long ago. Malabuka Mustache, almost 300 damage above the threshold. This is a team that we thought being contested was one of the worst things that can happen to them, and I feel like that's a blessing in disguise the way they're playing.
100%. I'm thinking back though, Kiduo, they do have the forecast tower, so seeing that they're based up on the edge could be, because next zone is going to pull there once again. Pixie though, only 8 below, but that 8 damage is going to be enough to potentially take him out of the match here. There it is, gets eliminated the Storm Surge. Mustache Malabuka gonna be rewarded now with a mythic item and a medallion. More than enough loot here, and it's King Phaser beside them.
That's their second medallion, second mythic weapon. Looking to be the final boss if he can collect them all. King Phaser, you said, not too far away from that box, but they're so far below the damage threshold. They might have no other choice but to try to box fight Malabuka and Mustache if none of these teams get close enough that they can put some shots through, but it's King. Instead of dealing damage, he takes another couple of shots, forced to use his very last big pot.
Pressure is on for the duo. Chaos unfolding as Storm Surge is now active. No sniper rifle in King's hand. It's what's made him turn around from these situations time and time again. As now what has to be done is a full-on entry to an opponent's box, and it comes through. The first knock is secured. The 2v1 is still active, but Surge is still ticking. One more tick and King gets eliminated here.
Oh no, just dropped down to 5 HP. Phaser's already down. Storm Surge, Mini's gonna be popped just in time. Second one goes through, but still 50 below before he finally makes the desperate attempt to try to get some shots onto Clownski. He goes down along with Phaser, and before placement points as well, so they got very little for this game.
Clown grows now. Gonna pick up the extra loot from King and Phaser. 101 above from those eliminations. That engagement was also a savior for the duo as we check out now. Yanis Flixie. Be careful as the Storm Surge aggression continues, but Flixie unfazed.
Oh no. From unfazed to just getting cracked there momentarily. That's how Yanis was kind of left as a solo. Again, another big team on that leaderboard. Losing someone before placement points can go in. Yanis quickly rotating on over. Flowberry Fizz, you see him falling slowly but surely down that damage threshold, which is fine and dandy for now, but he's going to have to start going on the lookout. Once zone closed, Cammy find a huge elimination onto Tayson. A little bit of a rematch from the Invitational going against Venno next, but he's going to get chopped down and get everything for himself.
Venno got kicked by Surge in the last moment there, making him get eliminated. All these veterans, you can see how difficult it has been to get enough damage. As time and time again, we see these players go down to Surge. Shimoki now, could he be the next victim? What above? Not gonna hold on too long, as now 20 below. Misha though, teeny, straight into a knock. Can they secure the finish? Pressure from the side, third party's coming through. They do get the refresh, but they're only 27 above.
Yeah, and still pressure on the other side of that build. And the problems continue because they have to go max distance on the other side of the zone if they're looking to find some safety. And without any heals, no shields, no med kits that they can use, and running very, very low on build. So Misha, Teeny are going to have to find some sort of elimination and refresh on this rotation, and still getting tagged up through the sky.
Be careful here. Just one shot away from Misha. 10 HP. Just colliding against the rock could be enough to eliminate him here. as they are 190 above. Storm Surge is not going to affect them. Medkit gets dropped, and they start healing.
This is where they can kind of wrap down low towards the bottom. During the qualification, they were pretty consistent towards the top of the leaderboard, doing what they do best. Yanis still under pressure, 46 below, and that pressure just gets even more difficult to work with now that he's on the rotation, trying to find a spot in towards the zone. Ultimate low ground with still some damage to go, but he does have the Flowberry Fizz, does have some med kits, so he could try to heal this one out.
39 players, 22 duos in the water. Don't drown here, Yanis. You have to find something. 2 medkits could help him last a little longer, but with Storm Surge ticking, you have to be careful. 72 HP, medkit gets popped, and the pressure continues from the players below. Forced to cancel the medkit, build up a little more. He has a bit of wood, but with the shots coming through, I don't know if it's going to be enough time.
Still 58 below. First of the 2 medkits are going to come out. Still need a few players to go down before he saved the Storm Surge, and almost be the second one being used rather quickly. He has to rotate. 149. Teeny's there. This is his opportunity to try to get some shots now that he has some elevation and he can look back towards the zone. No real opportunities to be found for Yanis. But so Cammy ends up in his line of sight. Shimoki as well almost became a target. Blessing in disguise for Yanis, but he's still below the threshold.
Now, Grapple Blade put to good use. He finds an option, but it's too risky as Yanis now just 6 builds left. Impact is needed, crucial, as he's put into panic. 50 below. Surge will start ticking shortly. If he's unable to do more damage, he sees Reason below. He sees all these players flying through the sky, but it's gonna be 68 damage. 18 now is all he needs.
Barely is able to get above. A couple of shots like that is going to give him a little bit more room in terms of comfortability before he goes to the front side yet again. Doing wonders here as a solo, but a refresh is going to have to come through. Out of materials, out of resources. Voko's Vortexers. First one's on the high ground, but Vidil on that mid layer. He could be the one along with Reason to try to take over that high ground.
Yanis taken out. Cammy still staying strong as a solo. 63 builds to work with. Medkit, Mythic, Flowberry has everything to continue clutching.
This could be his opportunity, but time is slowly but surely running out. Reckless Railways giving a little bit of separation with those builds that are already there. Reason, Vidil still battling for that high ground, but a lot of damage has been taken. They're going to get pushed further and further down low thanks to Vortexers and Voko.
Could this be it? Will they want to go for the high ground? Vortexes and Volko holding strong, but for how long? As there's only 7 builds left for Volko. Chop down now. Opportunity arises for their opponents as they build up. It's Axe Force looking to take it.
That was his chance. Roban's there to back him up. Volko doesn't have any builds. He cannot keep going up higher and higher. He's going to have to let the fight come down to him, and that's exactly what came through. Vortexers did a good job of battling both Axe Force and Roban down, and even elimination happening to the backside of zone, but he wasn't able to get the mats. He's out of mats and out of time.
Cammy still up though. 4 elims to his name now. 18 builds as he continues to clutch as a solo, but boom, eliminated. Vidil, 5 on the board. Reason knocked down.
That's the medkits that he was able to found and immediately starts putting them to work, trying to stagger himself back, get a couple more placement points. Vortex's Voko, they had high ground and they're doing a good job of holding on to it, but both of them are weak. Slivers of HP, only shield to get passed around.
Ping, 1 shot away from securing an elimination. He does it. No medkit picked up though as he's continuing to build out. Mats are running low. It is a full duo down below. It is a full duo up above. The 2 versus 2 as Volko gets cracked.
That is a big shot, but Mixon goes down. It's all up to Pings. No HP, no builds. Grapple blading to high, but it's not enough. A huge shutdown for Vortexers and Voko to take game 3. And they were the team Takata that was able to not only grab high ground, but finally hold on to it to the very end.
A crucial hammer pump shot to secure them the victory royale. They were contested through the late game. People time and time again trying to take the high ground from them, but they were landing their shots. They were connecting what needed to be connected, and from that, they got the win.
that team that you were talking about battling for the high ground, Roban, Axe Force, they were immediately dethroned and sent back to the lobby to watch this masterpiece. They knew they had their opponents down. They knew they had them out. They wait for the grapple blade, and 2 well-placed shot ends that run. Voco Vortexers have finally awakened for their slumber.
We have not seen a single heal off today. It's been non-stop action in these final moments. You can tell the level that this lobby is at.
Yep, but this is it. Game 3 is over. We finally have reached the halfway point of day 1 of the EU FNCS. I'm going to throw it on over to analysts to let us know where everybody stands on that leaderboard.
Thank you very much. I am really looking forward to finding out who has made it to the top after such an intense battle. And Volco and Vortexers were already comfortable within the top 10, top 5 even. So surely that's going to be taking them all the way to number 1. We've got to just wait a little while our elves check everything out, make sure everything's fair before we bring you that leaderboard. Yeah, elves, because we come from, we've got a broadcast team in Copenhagen. I think they have elves there. I don't know, but any country that has
I never saw any
cold bits, I associate with elves. I hope that I haven't offended anyone in the Blast production team. And if I have words with me after we break down what happened in that game. Because, I mean, Volco and Vortexers, they're continuing this high ground legacy. If you're able to fight off the Vikings that come your way, it's yours for the taking, Minnie.
Yeah, they're not typically a team that we've seen on height too much in these sort of level lobbies this season. I was quite surprised when I saw them take height there. They are opportunistic, of course. They will do it. But it seems like that was the play style that worked for them in the open qualifiers and brackets like that, for example. So I'm interested to see how they're going to develop their play style for this weekend, because I think they just saw an opportunity and they took it. And I mean, they took it very well, of course, as well. They're just a fantastic team that have just performed very well recently in terms of their mid-game strategy. So it's good that they got to that end game and they just took the opportunity to take height, even though it's not necessarily like them.
Yeah, that honestly, that was what I was thinking as well, just because, you know, I mean, we saw in the first game, they had a good game and it looked like a, you know, sort of Volco and Vortex's game from this season, you know, where they were a lot lower down, but still making things work, a bit scrappy at times, but again, you know, you push through and you get a top 5. That game, again, was just not what I was expecting, but it's a good sign. I mean, if you're a fan of them, the fact that they can give you this type of game when it comes, I mean, it tells you everything you need to know about them as a duo and what they can do in this kind of lobby.
I think it was just that mid-game for them as well. We've spoken about it a little bit. I know I've spoken about it a little bit throughout this season. Just being able to get that forecast tower sometimes, giving them the intel on where that next zone is going to be, just allows them to position themselves in the optimal position. And in this sort of in this game, it just didn't seem like anyone was really up on height and dominating too well. It wasn't really one of those games that we've seen in the first 2 games where we've seen a team that have, you know, taken height early, then held onto it and done very well at that. It was a bit of a mismatch of an endgame there.
To be honest, though, also, if you look back, even at the names in that replay, we do have names that we're used to seeing in grand finals, but not necessarily names that we would expect to win. And this is the interesting thing that's happened so far this evening. Some of the big hitters have gone down really, really early. Thomas and Queasy in that particular game, Vico and Pink as well. I mean, we know the reason, though, that Vico and Pink are struggling to launch sometimes, I guess, Levin, because they have got a hotly contested game plan, because they are going for those forecast towers against Kaduo and Kiro. So it's a risky maneuver and risky strategy, and sometimes it's not paying off for them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people expected that to be less 50-50, right? You know, both teams are going to land, loot up, and then go fight for the forecast tower. That game, straight 50-50, right? And Vico and Pink sort of got, you know, bested there. So, again, not the kind of games we sort of were expecting there in that regard, but we'll see sort of how they bounce back from that. And again, similar situation with Queasy and Thomas. We said it literally in the segment before. You know, these guys are contested. They're not going to get every game to show what they can do, so they have to use the games they have and make them count.
And Mixon as well, second place for those guys, moving them up the leaderboard there, 22 places. So we're still at that stage of the event right now where one big game can really turn the tournament on its head for you in a favorable way. Seti and Cammy as well. Cammy doing such a good job solo clutching there. We've seen that happen for this duo more often than not this season, it seems like. And I'm kind of worried about that for this duo, because we're used to seeing them being so connected almost as a duo, never just separate and as solo. So although he did do an incredible job at actually clutching here, I want to see more from this duo when it comes to that mid-game prowess that we know them for.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, it's there's been so much to talk about that. It's something that we haven't really touched much on so far. But like, when you're talking about favorites for the whole competition, a lot of people again have had Cami and Seti in terms of looking at the best teams in the world. Who's been the most consistent of those, you know, traditional big names in the EU? You would have probably given it to Cami and Seti, right? So, you know, again, they're a team that many people expect to do well in this competition, but it's been much of what we've seen from them this season. It's been disjointed. That's never a word you would have ever associated with Cami and Seti in the past. So it's, you know, wishful thinking to think all of a sudden they'll piece it together now for finals, but you just have to hope the solo clutches keep rolling through.
I'm wondering, guys, about the victory royales this season, and I know it's hard to tell from the qualifiers because day one and day two, qualifiers, I should say, semi-finals, day one and day two, we had get a victory royale and you get all the way to the grand finals. But I feel like this time, this finals is not necessarily going to be won by a team that's got a victory royale, because there are duos that we do look to for consistency, and the teams that do take it all are struggling, as I said earlier, 11. So I don't know if I'm on the money with that one at all. Maybe I'm not, but maybe we'll have to see, because we are ready for game 4. So we're going to head to our casters, Takata and Jacob PR. Take it away, boys.
This is it, Takata. The halfway point for day one is finally over. And typically, if this was a 6-game tournament, I would be talking about the way you play the rest of the day matters so much. And I gotta ask you, this being a 12-game format, how important is the second half of the day?
Oh, it's especially crucial in terms of the format not only being 2 days, but also the point multipliers. I mean, increasing for day 2. It's 1.5 times the points you get day 1 in the second day of tournament. 6 points per elimination instead of 4. It's going to make it, I mean, it's going to make changes in the leaderboard.
I gotta go ahead and ask my resident pro player, the guy who carries me in ranked all the time, what you think about some of these things. And I think Storm Surge, another one of the big changes that we're seeing really affect the action around the lobby. Teams in certain scenarios are forced to go for that surge a little bit earlier, and in some cases even later in the game than what they used to. And you're seeing it really affect some of these fights, especially those in the late game. But game 4 is ready. You heard the battle bus. Let's jump into it.
3 matches left for the day. Will Mongrel and Savage be able to turn the tables around and come out on top in the early game? Is Pink and Vico gonna go for that 50-50 once again against Kiro and Kiduo? So many early engagements, but it looks like there's been a change. Pink Vico no longer dropping down below where the forecast tower is. They're actually dropping on the hill. And look at this, Jacob. From the clouds, flying in. Is this going to be enough to come out on top?
Now, they definitely have the shields, so depending on what they find on that low ground, Pink Vico, they know all too well what kind of loot is going to be down there. Crash pad yet again, a chance to sneak up onto one, but he sees that one coming. Nice shots being landed. Vico doesn't back down. He gets the first knock onto Kiro.
Now, with the upper hand in this battle, Kiduo is forced to make a difficult decision. Does he go for the 1 versus 2? He's farming up, maximizing the amount of materials as he knows there's no more time to run. Vico, Pink now take the shots, but you gotta be careful. Pink gets cracked. They're low on materials. Kiduo should have more in this situation, as now they tried to do a cheeky little crash pad play, but with the frenzy shotgun in hand, it's gonna be a 63, but it's not enough to get the ELIP 1v1.
The timing just wasn't there. Vico goes in just a little bit too ahead of himself. Now Pink is forced to kind of battle it out, and he doesn't have a shotgun. This could get dangerous. Breaks into the first box. Oh. Shotgun or no shotgun, he doesn't care. And Kiduo stands tall yet again. Back-to-back games taking out Pink and Vico off spawn.
You could not be losing those engagements when so much is on the line. I like the kind of game plan change, though. Switching up their drop